Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm Ben from Universal Audio, and welcome to a beautiful Tuesday Luna office hours. It's Tuesday, and that means it's time to hang out with Fab. But today we're not only joined by Fab, we've also got the wonderful and amazing Nezreen with us, dialing in, and still getting her AirPods to work. Joining us all the way from across the ocean, across the sea
In
in
Spain.
Spain, I believe, right? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely in Spain. And right now in Spain, AirPods are not connecting to the laptop, but that's going to change very soon. So Nezrin is in Spain, and today was one of the first days where you could go out and deconfine and go on the terrace
That must be so nice to do.
and have some Rioja. And I, unfortunately, I'm in New York where there's no terrace
It's
and
still not allowed.
you can't do shit. Let's be real. How are you doing on your microphones, Nesrin? It is not working. How about just for the time we chat? Could you just go back to the
Just
built-in,
go straight built in, turn off the AirPods.
turn off the AirPods, and that way we can hear you? Let me text her. So while Nesrin while Nesrin does that, I'm going to tell you what's happened this week. This week in Tales from the Switch. So this week in Tales from the Switch, I have mixed another 3 songs for Nesrin. If you remember last week, I transferred Silent Mood from Pro Tools to Luna live on camera, and I mixed it. So I did one version and I sent it to her. And do we have sound?
Nope.
Encore, not yet. So I switched to Luna. I mixed it, sent it to her, and she was mostly happy with it. But there's quite a bit of feedback on that. Then I mixed another song called Remedy, which I'm going to play you today. It's totally badass song. And on that, she dug the bottom of it, which is cool because it was really hard. That the way it was produced was really intense. And then yesterday I mixed Memories, which is a big monster.
Nice.
Which I have not gotten any feedback on because I sent her the last version this morning. So that's where we are.
Now that the ball's rolling, it's starting. It sounds like now that you've kind of figured out a system and a template and an overall kind of the aesthetic that you're going for, right? It starts picking up pace and starts getting easier and easier each time, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, but it's difficult because there's the remote quality of it, and Nesrine is as she's going to come on, and we're going to discuss that as soon as the AirPods are off. Allô, t'es là? Still, on t'entend toujours pas.
Wait. My unmute. You gotta hit the mute button and there we go. Nope.
No, toujours pas. Take the AirPods off.
Yeah, go no AirPods and just use built-in speakers and mic. See if that works.
Yeah. Turn them off. No, toujours pas.
You may still need to tell it right by the mute button, the little up arrow next to that. You should be able to adjust what you're coming in on.
Can you control her desktop? It's a computer.
I can't. No.
As soon as maybe you can maybe if she closes Zoom and comes back in.
Yeah, that might work.
Okay, do you hear me?
Oh,
yay!
Sorry.
It's all good.
I mean, those I don't know why, but it doesn't work.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Well,
wonderful to have you with us here, Nezrine. Thanks for joining Office Hours. I know.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, we've all been enjoying hearing this record kind of come from go from roughs to finals, and it's been a real pleasure getting to hear this music, but also see the journey for it. So just on behalf of me, UA, and all of everybody watching, we just wanted to send so much love your way, and it's such a cool record and such a cool thing to be able to see inside this process, which is normally this whole process happens, either inside studios or over email, or it always happens, but we're not always able to share this deeply of what goes into mixing and finalizing a record. So yeah, super cool to see this with you guys, and thank you for joining us today too. It's fantastic to see and hear you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I was telling them while you were fighting with your microphone that today is the first day of deconfinement in Spain.
Yes, it is.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So
And I'm doing like a salute, like for real.
salute.
Salute.
Excellent. So let's talk about the record a little bit and then about the process, because it's very rare to have this process be open. It's like walking around naked. That's what I said. So thank you for walking around naked. So what's the record? Is it your first record, second record, 10 record? What, where does it come from? Who's the producer? All that stuff.
Oh wow. Well, this is my first record, like as a solo artist, let's say. Before I had a band with who I made one record, which was like amazing also. Like we went on tour a lot, and we kind of like showed our music in Europe essentially. And this record is like a new step for me. So it's like a statement, let's say, as a musician, as a singer, as a cellist. I remember like in the beginning of the shows, like people were asking like about the cello player. I mean, the cello player is me, as I am also the singer. And I'm trying to bring to the world like a mix of like all of my roots, which I'm coming from North Africa, I'm Algerian, and which is like somehow like a mix between North Africa and Europe and Occidental world. That's what this record is about. Somehow my roots and my identity. And why I'm here, this is like the most important question. How come I like ended up in this show? Like this,
How'd you get roped into all this?
No, this is like the most important question, like to all of those community that is like new for me, like people around the world, because this is like a real worldwide thing about like lovers of music and of sound and of like technique, and this is very interesting for me to realize that there is this huge community of people so interested in details, and details make the music, which is so amazing to watch and to be able to live and believe somehow.
Right.
So as I said to Fabrice, I am starting to be a geek, as all of you guys, because I'm starting to fucking love these shows. And like the question about like, I don't know, numbers and letters thing. Like,
when we go into like full nerd territory, we're like talking it's like my wife says the same thing. Like we just start speaking in codes and all these like. Was that English at all? No, baby. That was audio talk.
But it's all about music.
It is, which is very interesting for a musician, and this is why there is like this relationship between like the musician that I am and the mixing engineer that I chose, which is Fabrice, who is making the link between the music and actually the sound, and very, very, very like sublime for me. It's amazing.
So how's it working with Uni, your producer? What's that process been like for producing and recording these tracks?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you were there.
You were there, I hope.
I was there. Recording a track and like the process of like songwriting and recording is kind of mixed.
Gotcha.
So I thought that I was alone with my creativity, but then you actually react and interact with people, which is your producer, your musicians, and the people like in the first nucleo who are there to bring the music. And this is why I'm here also, after all of this research, all of this creativity, and like you bring out in the world this music, then there is like that link that actually would bring like this music to the whole world, who is Fabrice. And he's the one who's taking your music and saying, okay, this is like a baby, and I'm making from that baby an adult, or like someone who's like ready to reach the world and to deal with the world, because you bring a baby, something which is very fragile somehow, which is like only your emotions and your it's very small, it's very doesn't know the world. And Fabrice is the one who's taking this and making it bigger, you know. So, I mean, this is how I explain mixing. This is how I explain mixing and mastering, because Fabrice is doing both for me.
So so people don't know that, but there's going to be no master of this record. The way I'm going to do it, it's going to go straight from Luna to Spotify into CDs and stuff. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm basically paying attention to the sound of the record as I go. And I'm making sure that the levels are even, or at least relate to each other from song to song. And that's a process that's going to go in increments over time. The last day of Nesrin's mix, once Nesrin and Uma are really happy with everything and there's no more notes, then I will go back and I will open every session one by one, and I have my favorite session with my favorite sounding track, and I use that as my reference, if you will, and then I will adjust everything to that in the spirit of making a record that sounds good from A to Z, because this is not a collection of singles. This is really
one cohesive thing.
A cohesive thing across. It tells a story in different languages, and but all those pockets and all those grooves are cousins. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to send it to a mastering engineer. I'm just going to export out of Luna, and there's going to be 10 songs. And that's what I'm going to deliver to the label.
Nice.
And it'll be Spotify ready, YouTube ready, and all the others, because the others are quieter. And for the CD, we'll have to have a discussion if they want, if we can do a hi-fi CD, if we have to do a CD that's loud. I personally would like to do a hi-fi CD because I'm spending a lot of time on this record.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the CD changers are really a thing. Consideration anymore.
Nope.
So people who are going to buy a CD, spend money to buy a CD, they're going to want it to sound amazing.
Yeah.
And so there's no reason to go and crush it at the end. Let's just let it breathe, you know?
And so will you do that? Will you pull things off of your because right now I know we're kind of monitoring through like a limiter and some other stuff on the 2-bus. Would you disable those, export, and then bring it back into one session to do a final thing, or would you still just be exporting?
We'll see. I may fail, but my aim is that my final export. I'm printing through this to my limiter, but the limiter is not limit. I mean, it's basically a fader. And at the end of certain songs, like there's the song that I mixed last week that kicked my butt, Mumkin. So at the end of Mumkin, because Mumkin has a dynamic range that's insane. And so it's impossible to keep it fully hi-fi, meaning like uncompressed, full transients, like really like talking to you like this from the beginning to the end. Because if I wanted to keep it that way at the end, the beginning would be so quiet.
Yeah.
That in the range of the record, you would be listening to, say, Fantasy, and then the beginning of it would be here, and then the beginning of Mumkin would be here.
Yeah. And
that is a red flag. That wouldn't work. So I have to have the beginning of Mumkin be about here. Because it was like a modern intensity. But the problem is that the end of Mumkin is here.
It goes back above it.
So I had to reduce the dynamic range a little bit to make it work on a modern record. Or I would have to take everybody else down. All other 9 songs, I will have to bring them down.
Yeah.
And there's, even with 14 dBs of dynamic range, this is exactly what I'm going to play with the last day. I'm going to find a sweet spot for the record where it sounds bananas on the streaming services, and that we can have a really dynamic CD that sounds really great.
Yeah,
that's my goal. That's what we discussed originally with Nesrin. Is like the idea was to make something that's immersive. I did not expect to have songs like Mumkin that would literally go from 0 to 60 in 4 minutes. I wasn't told that.
Can I just say that I'm like from the classical world? And do you remember these recordings in the classical music? That's like you start like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You start to hear the music and it's like, is there any sound there? And then there's like a huge range of like sounds, and this is like my world. I come from that.
I know,
So I understand.
and that's an amazing, beautiful world.
Yeah.
But the problem is that in that amazing, beautiful world, they buy the product and they listen to the whole piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this world, somebody is gonna love Mumkin, right?
Yeah.
And they're gonna put it on the playlist. And so on that playlist, there's gonna be, I don't know, some French Algerian pop singer, and then Billie Eilish, and then you, right? So you're gonna have Billie Eilish. It's gonna be in your face. And then what was the name of that Algerian French pop singer who was so big, like the biggest one? I forget his name right now.
Rashita.
Rashita. Okay, so there would be his track, which would be loud and really bright. And then Mumkin comes on. He's like, poof.
No.
And if that happens, you're gonna call me and say, "Hey, it's not good." Like it doesn't. So what I'm doing is I'm putting it so that this is the other music that it's going to be against, and I'm putting it here.
Yeah.
The beginning will be a little softer, and the end will be, I have to edge my bets.
Yeah.
Now, in the perfect world, which clearly this is not, but in the perfect world, I would not care about anything else in the world. I would just say, just like they used to do in vinyl a long time ago, I'd say, this is the amount of space I have for all the music, from loud from soft to loud. I have this much space. I'm going to use all of it.
Yep.
I'm going to use all of it because the person who's going to take this record is going to put the record on and go. And then when they change record, if the next record is louder, they just take the volume down.
Yeah.
But I can, it's a captive environment. We don't have that anymore. So I have to aim. So that's what's going to happen.
Does it ever feel like a guessing game, Fab? Of like
all the time.
Yeah.
Like for example, I did L, and then I did fantasy, and so that was cool. I was like, okay, I see what's happening. And then Uma sent me Mumkin. I was like, oh, like if I knew then what I know now, I would have mixed the other ones differently. Then I got then you sent me Remedy. No, then Silent Mood. Silent Mood is a kind of like a different vibe because it's super linear, and it's really no big deal to play. I can put it wherever I want.
Yeah.
And then there's Remedy, which I'll play you a couple bars. Remedy has this crazy like space in it. It's so awesome. And I thought it was the most spacious one. And then I got Memories, which is the one that has the most space in it. So now as I go along, I'm on song number 6. I have 4 to go, which I don't know yet. I've never even heard them because Uma hasn't sent them to me. So there may be 4 more surprises. I don't know. Are there 4 more surprises, Nisrin?
Of course there is.
Great.
What fun would this be without some more surprises?
I just want to say that this album, there is only 9 songs plus one cover.
Yeah.
And most of the artists, usually when they do an album, they have like maybe 13, 14, 15, 20 songs recorded, and then they choose. This is the ultimate. I have 9 songs.
Yeah.
That's it. And I'm telling you, all of those songs have a meaning, have a world. They have like their own belief. They have their own country around, their own emotions around.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, but deal with it. Every song a surprise. Every song is gonna be something, and I know that you can do it. That's why you're there.
I'm definitely planning to do it, and I'm planning to do it in the next 2 weeks because the deadline for this, when we started talking with Nescame, the deadline was May 15th. So that happened.
Yep.
And I said, where were we talking? Early March? No, mid-March.
Yeah, mid-March.
Yeah. I was like, something smells funny around here, and there may be some delays here and
Something's going on. Yeah.
And Nescame was like, no, I know you can do it. We can do May 15th and it's going to be fine. I'm like, okay, sure, maybe.
Maybe.
I'll do my best. So I'm thinking that if I get the next session soon, I have one more. I just got one this morning, Risala. So I'm still missing 3 surprises. If I get these 3 surprises by early next week, I should be able to finish a first pass on every song by the end of the following week.
Nice.
Because this is not the only record I'm working with. I'm working on 3 records. So there's like, depending on the mood, the timeline, and who needs a single from when, I have to like jump courses. So today I worked in Ableton, in Pro Tools, and in Luna. Not good for the brain.
I don't know. I was like, I don't know how you keep your head on straight going like.
It's actually, it just dawned on me that I recalled, I did a Jagmat mix, and then I did Olivia Merilati from The Doe this morning, in a song I'm writing for her in Ableton, and then I did a recall of Memories for you. By the way, you have a Memories with all the cellos now.
Okay. Can I say something? I mean,
yeah.
These programs are amazing, and I understand that for everyone who are listening to you and learning about all of those programs and plugins and way of mixing things, there is a lot of techniques. Like this is a huge part of it. But this is also maybe why I'm here tonight, because one of the things that everyone has to know and is like, there is this human thing, because Fab is like dealing in one side with his technique of like all the plugins, the way of sounding and everything, but he's also like dealing with me, and me is only emotion somehow. I'm like saying like, yeah, I'm laughing sometimes because I'm telling him like whatever, like comments that are, I would like this more, and it's an emotion. And as you said last time, like it's also an art to be able to transfer this emotion and translate that emotion through a plugin and a real technical thing.
I think that's a very good point. And that's something that a lot of people, because a lot of people work alone, like a lot of people, they make their own music, and they have, their Apollo and their software, and then they record themselves. We have a process that's maybe a little more classic, where you're an artist, you write songs, you have this emotion, your producer captures it and puts a color on it, and then I try and make sure that will translate to the world. And so we have to communicate. I have to communicate with you. You have to communicate with him. He has to communicate with me. So that is crazy. And so depending on the artist, all the artists have different ways of communicating. And so what you said is true. It's like sometimes you send me your feedback, and I'm like, what could that be? Like, I'm really thinking, I'm like, okay, like for example, I have here, let me just look at this, and I think it's awesome. The ones we were gonna do a feedback on, we were gonna do a live feedback on fantasy, but if you don't have your headphones, we cannot do it. We have to make sure you have your headphones. But like, for example, you sent me feedback on what was it, on Silent Mood. You sent me the feedback on Silent Mood, and I thought it was awesome. Try again while I tell this. So Silent Mood, if you guys remember, is the song that
Nice.
Great. Silent Mood, if you remember, is the song that I transferred from Pro Tools to Luna last week, and I mixed it this week, and I sent it to Nesrin. How about I try and open it and see if it'll play?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna.
I was like, it's fun it'd be fun to talk about this music all day long, but it'd also be kind of fun to listen to it.
Yes. So so Nesrin, do you still see my screen, boss?
Yes.
Okay, bananas. So that's I just would like to point out just how extremely well organized Nesrin's folder is. Just saying.
Yep. Well done.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I did it myself. So there, I'm opening the session. So it's opening right now. This session is really, really heavy, and also I had to bump it up to 48K to be able to play on the broadcast, and so there may be some artifacts. Let me turn some. because the system really doesn't like all this DSP. Hold on, Zoom is a hog.
Yeah. Trying to zoom and do all this all at the same time.
It's just absurd.
A little
Zoom,
grind.
look back, audio hijack, and all that stuff. And the machine is like, I don't think so. So let's see. Yeah. Are you getting clicks?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the cover? Oh, I can probably do the mix. This would be really cool. So I'm going to relaunch Snapper. This is going to be very quick, guys. Sorry. Do you have any questions that I can field when this happens?
There we go. No specific questions. Yeah, just lots of love for this conversation and lots of we're hitting on exactly what everybody is kind of thinking here of just how important it is to be thinking, bridging technicalities, but also musicality always has to come first.
Musicality is the key. So let's see. Let me make sure that Loopback's happy. You guys can see behind the scene all the garbage we have to go through to send you music. Hold on. Let's see this. Be good. So just one more second.
I'm getting it comb filtered.
Oh, awesome. I like to comb my filters too. Hold on. Let's see.
Clean.
So this is just a print of the mix.
Silent I know that it is coming. I fancy being forgetting.
Okay, so you get the vibe, right? I can't play the whole song because we have so much to do. But the feedback from Nesrine on this was, it's in French, so I'm going to translate in real time. Unless you want to give it to me in real time, Nesrine, do you want to share right now your feedback on this mix?
No, I just said about that song that it's like supposed to be a jazz song because it's like really the way I wrote it. It's a tribute to jazz completely. But there is this jazz vibe, but there is this like crazy contemporary music still there. So every sound that are coming, everything is weird. It's like a steady song in a very weird world. So I wanted like every sound that are coming in like to raise and to be weird. Like it's a world, it's an entire world. I told Fabrice everything has to be like psychedelic somehow.
Yeah.
It's jazz, but in a psychedelic world. So raise that. So I'm telling him that. So how do you do this?
So the email I got this week or Sunday was like, this is a paradox. It's a jazz song, but it cannot be a jazz song. And then it has to be psychedelic. I think the cello is too compressed or something like that. It doesn't sound natural. And then I like the voice, but could it be more raw? So I went full Julie London because I heard that. I was like, oh, this is my chance to make a Julie London record. Awesome. Well, apparently not. So I'm going to have to go back. And so more raw, when I hear that, she says, plus grave, which means deeper, or cru, which is raw. And I listened to that. I'm like, okay, I know that really sweet sounding space. That rubs her badly. So I'm going to get rid of that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the bottom of the percussion has to be more tribal and more obscure.
Yeah.
I'll figure that. And at the end, it's the pizzicato cello is clôture, is wrapping the song.
Yeah,
So
the
it's
ending,
important.
yeah.
Yeah, it's important that the progression is key.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's arpeggio.
Of the
guitar is
guitar.
too loud. I just, that's because I love it.
He loves that part.
Yeah. Do-do-do-do-do, and you made it like so loud. I was like, okay, this is cool. And it's a little bit too much.
But I absolutely, I love that part so much. So that's the feedback I got on this mix.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to implement that feedback to the best of my abilities, and then I'm going to send Nesrine another version.
Yep.
And so far, I got it about right into about 2 versions.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're not in the same room, and because we're not listening on the same stuff. Nesrine is listening on her AirPods, so now I know that. So I know I can translate the vocabulary better.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I hear more tribal, that doesn't mean it needs to be fatter. It needs to have more transients, because those things have, I know what she's hearing now. So there's all these weird considerations. I'm sorry, you're not doing a lot of like, plus 2 dBs at 60 hertz, but this is what the job is.
Yeah.
And this is what Luna has allowed me to do, because this is my first real hardcore mix. After this very files are going straight to the world.
Yeah.
So it's a very good proof of concept.
Yeah.
There's this song I mixed yesterday. Can I play Memories a little bit? I know you haven't given me feedback, but I just love how it sounds. Okay. So I'm gonna open Memories.
I was gonna say the chat is just absolutely loving this music, and especially like they're like, it's got some weird like dubby, it's like weird dubby tribal stuff, but then some people are picking up on something like the Norah Jones sort of jazzy vibes.
Yeah. The producer is very, very creative.
Mm-hmm.
It's I can see in his sessions how he thinks.
Yeah.
Very creative, and the layering is very smart. And he's good. He's got great ideas, and he's a bass player.
He's a guitar player.
He's a guitar player. Who plays the bass?
The bass is Sweli Mbappé. He's like from Paris, and he's the son of Etienne Mbappé.
He's Etienne Mbappe's son, this explains that. Okay.
Okay. But the guitar player is the producer with who I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you who don't know, every good bass player comes out of Cameroon. Okay. And every good bass player who comes out of Cameroon is in the Mbappé family. So basically, any good bass player is an Mbappé.
Uh-huh.
And we're not talking about the football player.
No, we're not talking about the football player. There was this dynasty of bass players coming out of Cameroon, the Mbappé. And there's Etienne, there's Francis, and then there's a whole bunch of cousins and sons who are all bass players, and they're all absolute badass.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Oh,
absolutely cool. Unbelievable. Because there was one guy, I'm told, Etienne, Francis is a friend, and he said there was a teacher in Cameroon who was like an amazing bass player, and he was just a great figure for the kids, and he took a lot of kids under his wings, and he was a bass player, and he started teaching kids bass, and he just spread. And now everybody in Cameroon is a badass bass player. So yeah, Mbappé. Okay, this makes sense now. I understand what I'm hearing. Okay, cool. I'm gonna call Francis. I didn't know it was in it. That's so awesome. So check this stuff out, man. This is so bad. I gotta turn the limiter off for the thing to clip.
Show some things there. Yeah.
Yeah, check it out. Actually.
Oh, memories.
I love this. Yeah.
I think I gave the wrong impression, trying to deal with my emotions. Same story brings me back to that comedy. But it might just has to be an alchemy. Ooh, 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 ooh.
Love the guitar.
Mom told me lately she didn't feed me. Do you think my body remembers what my brain didn't get? I surrender.
I surrender.
Ooh, surrender. Ooh. My memories are vague, source of confusion, but it helps me protect myself from illusion. Ooh, ooh, from illusion. Ooh, ooh, from illusion.
Comme ça. It's great. So I did this yesterday. I love this song, and I love
so
this.
Cool.
This transition here is off the charts.
Ooh, from illusion.
Super trippy here. Check it out.
It's such a wild groove.
It's great, right?
Yeah.
So on the demo,
this one is so cool. Yeah. It's so big. Like this one, this is definitely one of the first ones that feels like it fully opens and kind of gets going there in that last chorus.
Yes, that's the thing. Mumkin is the same, and these are the two that are going to decide the level of the record, basically, since we're not limiting this. Mm-hmm. So check this out. This is the pocket. Ooh. Yeah, but it's all played live, and on the demo, Uma had it's a bunch of mics. It's from here to here. It's all those mics are open, right? And on the demo, Uma somehow had reverb only on the backbeat, so you can hear it, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was like, ugh, because if I put the reverb on the whole thing, it felt I didn't. So he put the reverb on the whole thing. He somehow, I don't know how he did it, but he had a good balance of it, but it still kind of warded the kick down. But when I played it, the first thing you reacted was the first key came in, you went like, whoa. Mm-hmm. So that's what I want. I want people to feel this like boom. And until Nesrin says, that's not at all what I wanted. I want it to sound far in the back. But till then, that's what I want. So that's what I'm going to do. Because that's, I sort of kind of imagined that that's what the demo wanted. Uma's rough mixes tend to be quite good, and I really understand what he wants. This one was more complicated because the range is so big that it's really hard to do it. And so it wasn't as good as the other, so I didn't get as good an idea. But so what I did is I needed a backbeat, and if I remove the backbeat reverb, it sounds like this. Where is it? Here. With but there's not a lot of, there's very little reverb on the bass drum, because what I'm doing is instead of in this whole session, there's not a lot of, in this whole album, there's only two reverbs. Mm-hmm. The whole record, there's only two reverbs. There's one EMT and one Ocean Way, which are all the way to the right of the session right here. But to achieve this effect, I actually added a reverb on this song, and I put it on a high pass send, meaning I'm sending to a bus, and before I hit the reverb, which is that's the reverb, mm-hmm. Before I hit the reverb on that bus, I'm actually also hitting this, obscene high pass. So if I bypass the EQ, it sounds like this. So it creates this tail on the bass drum.
You hear the little extra woom woom on there. Yeah.
And then if I high pass it, so that allows the bass drum to move forward. So if you listen to it in the process, in the sauce, and this is not exactly groundbreaking, but this is the kind of little details that allow this open music to really sound right. So if I listen to the top like this, with the EQ before the reverb, without. So now the bass drum is a little more diffuse. It doesn't have the same punch. It doesn't feel like you can look at it. You can almost touch it. But with this you can. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And that's from not having, from the reverb on the snare microphone being super high pass. So because the bleed from the bass drum into the snare is huge. Yeah. I mean, this is the snare microphone. Sorry, wrong one here. So basically, it's like a free-for-all kind of vibe. So the balance of those things, because I have the demo, I have to imagine what he meant, and also what Nesrine has been living with for the X amount of weeks that she's been living with it, so that if I offer something different, it better be something better, or something that serves a purpose better, that makes her feel more of what she wants. Or if it's going to be something different, it better be super cool so that she changes her vision that she's been stuck to for X weeks with the producer.
That's so true what you're saying. And this is exactly what we are, I mean, I am waiting for. Like, we have like for months more than weeks, that song or the sound that we're thinking of in our head, and you pop up in our world, and you bring us like a new way of seeing it, that world. And this has to be like so convincing that we're like, oh wait, this is different, but wait, wow, that's interesting. And this is like this balance between like it shouldn't be like awkward, but it has to be like enhancing the thing, like, you know, sublimized, as we say, like in English, British English thing, like making the thing like, and you bring that, Fabrice, like most of the time. It's like, hey, that's so interesting. We didn't think of it like this, but wait, and we need to listen to it like a few times to be like, actually, why not?
Yeah. Well, because it creates such a different relationship between the different elements, and you know, especially the stuff that grabs Fab's ear, like, you know, even some of the comments that have come in on these is like, there's those bold moments, right? There's like these moments where you're like, wow, that seems like a lot of claps or a lot of percussion, but you're like, that's on purpose because that's the feeling that you wanted to give it at that moment in time. Is like, put these things 100% in your focus that you could just as easily blend in and push back. But you know, that's the fun part about mixing, is you get to create the relationships and the dynamics between all these different parts.
And what Nesrine just said is very important. And again, this is supposed to be a Luna office hour, but I think this is a value. And this is why when Nesrine sends me feedback, that she, since the beginning, this is the 4th week, right? Since the beginning, I've been coming on. I said, okay, so I sent this to Nesrine, and then she sent it back, and she hates it. She doesn't like this, and she doesn't like that, and she doesn't like this. I don't get upset. I don't get upset at all. It doesn't. I just, because of what we just discussed, because she's been living with this a certain way. If what I sent her doesn't seduce her and make her feel better than what she had, I failed. Even if we could, us as you know, every day-to-day mixing engineer, we listen to the demo and then we listen to my mix, and clearly my mix is better, but it's not better if it doesn't make her. It's better because it's cleaner. There's no. It fits in the modern, you know, levels. It doesn't bleed in the bottom. It's not aggressive. You can hear everything, but that means nothing. Unless it makes Nesrine feel better. And Nesrine doesn't care if it bleeds in the bottom. She wants it to have a big fat bottom, and she doesn't care if it goes in one note. Spotify cares. The blend from song to song cares. That's my job.
Yeah.
So my job is to make sure she gets what she wants, and also when it's played crazy loud in a stadium, or when it gets on radio, or when she goes on TV, that it comes across as being badass.
Yeah.
So her vision translated into badass. So I have to do something that's better than what she had, but keep the spirit of it. That's the challenge, really, if being mixing. If we were in the same room, it would take about half the time.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Because she would sit in the back, and I would do something, and she'd say, I don't like that. I'm like, fine, how about this? But we don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
I would love to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. This is not the life we live right now.
Yeah.
But next record. So what you're seeing is as real life as it gets, because I talked to Andrew Sheps, Tony Maserati, I talked to Mick, I talked to everybody, as you all know. I talked to CLA, I talked to everybody. Nobody shows up. We work on our own.
Yeah.
I'm lucky because there's a lot of because of Puremix. There's a lot of people, when I make an indie record, very often they're Puremix members, or they know of Puremix, or they're producers and they want to see what's going on because they want to learn or they want to grow. So they come.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. But 90% of the time, I get a record from some label in Colombia. I've never met that person. I will never meet that person. We chat, and that's it. And so that's the process for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. Like artists don't want to show up. Artists like Nesrine, who are on a different level of consciousness and are really trying to create a universe. And that is where she writes. She's part of the production. She plays. And she's indie and she does everything. And now she's going to have to go do her promotion and she's going to have to do all that stuff. And she has a label, but really it's driven by her.
Yeah.
She has to do all the work. And so her involvement is, if there had been no COVID, she probably would be here in this room right now.
And I'm telling you something, all of your community is so interesting for me. Like, it's like, seriously, there are so many people like interested by that. Like, I'm so shocked. You cannot believe. Like, there's so many people that are interested about like your details. And I didn't even know about those details before, because when you create music, you don't necessarily think about all of this. And then there is like a door that you open, or like it's like, Alice in Wonderland, you enter and there is like, oh my God, there is so many people interested in how like the kick and the drum and the like. Please tell them more about this.
So let me we have a couple of things we have to do today, but what I'd like to do is I'd like really quickly, while I have you here on the phone, reopen Fantasy, because there were very few notes on Fantasy, and I'd like to just do them while you're here, so you can hear in real time. So we can do a little real time, and then people can see a little bit what's going on. So Fantasy was the song I did the second week, and this is version 4 of the mix. So this one has been worked on quite a bit. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Luna's loading. Ben, any comments or questions or something?
There's some love, Nazreen. There's some love for your hoop earring, the big triangle.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Do you have a matching one just hidden on the other side, or do you just rock the one?
No, there's only one because there's the hair on the other side.
Exactly. That's awesome.
All right, cool. So if you remember, Fantasy was a little bit like this. Let's see. Let me know if there's playback issues, because my computer literally sounds like it's going to take off. Right now. It sounds like a plane about to take off.
Would the I take joy in recalling our blunders. No thunder, just rumbled and pass them on the others. Pass them on the others. Just
sorry to stop. I hate stopping the song in the middle, but at first, we are going to run out of time. And second, I want to hear what you feedback. There was some level with the guitars.
Yeah.
What was it?
I mean, the guitar, like.
Which one? Is it this one? I love this guitar, by the way. This thing that comes in the middle there.
Okay.
Hold on.
One
second. This guy. Yeah, so good. Yeah. By the way, guys, who are watching, this week I lobbied for you and was granted the Command S for solo, Command M for mute. Yeah. Command R for record, and Command T.
Are you doing command? You mean shift?
Shift.
Yep. Oh, so you just give away. Yeah. Good job.
What? Oh, I'm sorry.
Coming soon. Coming very soon to everybody else.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's good. It's coming out very, very soon, guys. Fab is on 1.0.4.
It's awesome.
It's so
good.
It
changes your life. It's beautiful. For the better. Shit.
It'll be Shift S, Shift M, Shift R, Shift I, all your favorite 4 buttons on every channel. You select the channel, hit Shift and the key command. I've been lobbying for that shortcut for months.
We dreamed it. We made it.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. I let the cat out of the bag too early. You gotta let me know the shit that's official and not.
This is the best. This is a good reason for people to tune into every office hour. You never know when you're gonna get a little sneak peek of what's coming next.
Check out this guitar. It's so good. I love when it comes in like this. So I do almost nothing to it. I'm high passing it because it's in my blood, and then I add a little bit of saturation, a little bit of high end for it to basically take over for Nesrin's voice when it comes in. Shift S to remove the solo, but don't tell anyone. And then
on the others. Just wondering.
But is that the guitar you wanted me to raise? No, huh?
Yeah, but no, that's the only thing was about the level between the guitar and the gambri, because the sound are very similar.
Yes.
Like the cello, which is it's a cello that is played with how do you call this? Like when you play the guitar with like a
pick.
In pick, English, exactly.
They say pick, yeah.
Okay, so I play the cello with a pick. So and those two are responding to each other. So if the guitar dum bum bum, dum king gum is not at the same level as the gambri when it's answering, somehow for me it's to disturb because.
I get it.
You want the balance between the two.
You're talking about this guy and this guy. What I think is actually the guitar is a little loud. It's one of those, I love this thing and I put it too loud kind of vibe. So I'm going to switch to trim mode here. It's already in trim mode. So I'm going to, by the way, for those of you who don't know, the reason why I have gold faders is not because I'm special or rich. It's because that's the color of a trim fader. It allows me to take, if you see all these movements, I've already automated the guitar so that it feels good in comparison to other things. And so my urge would be, and now I have a trim fader, which allows me to keep this movement exactly the same, but I can change it. I have an offset, if you will.
Nice.
But actually, I should check this out.
Back to the uncertainty, would I have come to this world.
So I don't want to use the trim right now because I like where this level is until Nesrine wants something different. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change this one. And it's going to sound like this.
Them on the others. I was just wondering.
What do you think? It's subtle.
Yeah.
It's a dB down. So I have two options, right? Just 1 dB. So either I take that, I take this kind of like melody, like theme down 1 dB, or I raise the gimbrick.
Let's try the other one.
Let's try the other one. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, because I understand also that a guitar obviously is like louder than a gambari. Like if you play live, it's going to be louder a guitar than a gambari there. So yeah, I would like to hear the other one. I don't know.
Let's do that. Let's do that. So I'm thinking that this preemptively should be a little louder. Let's try this out.
Them on the others. I was just wondering.
So,
of course, I prefer this one.
Okay, so, and that's fine. So is there the same thing happening elsewhere in the song? Or what was the other note? Let me remember, because this is difficult. On camera, it's late. Let me remember what your note was.
Yes, because, whoa, like there are so many songs. I'm lost, even me.
Okay,
like I made so many notes. It's like, okay, because like the first time you listen to something, guys, is like the most important moment. Like be very like clear with yourself. The first moment you listen to whatever mix or whatever song or whatever thing, because that moment, that intuition, that sound, that special moment is very special, and you can write everything. Then the second time is already different. The second time you already are like used to it. And this first feeling of like is be sure, and I believe this. I mean, I see like from your face, like you believe this too. Like be sure of like your first feeling. The first time you listen to something, write down whatever you believe, whatever you think, and then whatever your mix is gonna be, I guess always rely on that first belief.
The first impression. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's always also what I think as a musician, which I'm not a mixer, but yeah.
Yep. So there's something, I'm reading your notes. So there's a La bemol sol fa mi. There's a guitar that plays A flat, G, F, E, which is what we just heard. So that's the one you were talking about. Let's see.
Tomorrow is another day. The day.
Ah, d'accord.
Yeah.
Compris, d'accord. Pas de problème. Faut que je la trouve. I have to find it, sorry.
I mean, there is so few elements in this that like every element that are popping up, I want people to, and we want with Uma that people like, oh, go on, buddy.
Yeah, so
that is something, yeah.
This one?
No.
Okay. So that's not this one, then it can only be this guy. No.
This one. It is this one.
That's the one. Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, got him. Yeah.
Okay, so that is no problem.
By the way, Huma is he. Shout out to Huma. He's on the Facebook stream right now.
For sure, he's there.
So,
Hola, Uma.
Hola, Uma. Right.
The tide will flow. Tomorrow is another day. The day.
This is not right. Let me fix that. I can do better. 1 second. This is not cool. By the way, I love the little drag handles like this. Really cool.
Tomorrow is another day. The day that I will grow. The day that I will flow.
I think it would be cool. The intro level is cool with you?
The intro level.
Like when he comes in here, is that the level you dig, or would you like more?
The day
You like that level?
I think the level
is another day.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's
Let's try that.
The day that I will flow. Tomorrow is another day. The day that I will grow. The day that I will flow.
One more thing. I think the Gambler needs to come up here.
Day that I will flow. Tomorrow is another day. The day that I will grow. The day.
Je te le montre là tout de suite.
yeah.
That I will grow.
Un petit peu.
That I will grow. The day that I will flow. What's the difference between three? What's the difference between?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to write that. And
Yeah, because there is all yeah.
There's lots of things happening, but I don't want to do it on headphones. I just wanted to show people, the interaction and stuff, and I hope it's of value to people. But
Ooh,
I can't do this on headphones because I can't. I have to have air in between me and the music to be able to really feel those moments. But okay, I get exactly what you want. I know exactly what you want, and you'll have it in your inbox tomorrow morning.
You know what is great with you, Fabrice, is that you're like fucking fast.
Right?
I just want to say something to everyone there. Like when, I decided to bring that music to a mixing engineer, which is like the Graal, like something like, okay, my music is this, but then like a mixing engineer might be doing it like even better, which is somehow weird because most of the people who are listening to music, they don't care about that. They don't even know about that.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
we decided with Uma, my producer, who's an amazing creative man, he told me, there is like two types of mixing people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
There is like a huge majority of people who mix very well and they're like, they're great. Most of them are great. And then there is like this little elite of people that you give them anything and they make it like art. Mm. So when I heard him saying this, I was like, okay, obviously I'm going to try to get to those people.
Option number 2.
And yeah, exactly. And one of those people was Fabrice. I had like this luck to meet Fabrice through the mattress, let's say, that we, and those people, you bring them like whatever is your music, whatever is your style, whatever is your type of music, and they can do gold of it.
Yeah.
And this is what is very reassuring for a musician, to bring your baby to someone else that is going to raise that baby and make like an adult of it. And this is such a responsibility. and such a beautiful thing to do. So this is for you.
It's a big response. But thank you, Nesrine.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the thing that it's a big responsibility. You know, I make a record every day. I'm lucky. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Nesrine is going to make a record every 2 years. And so this is the most important thing in her life, and it's in my hands. And so I see a lot of people talk, shop talk, oh man, it's taking forever, and it's like so nitpicky and precise. I'm like, no. Now's the time. I want to make sure that this shit is the best in the world, so that she's happy, so that she can go, because she's gonna have to go convince her label that it's great. And then she's going to have to convince all her fans that it's great. And then she's going to have to defend it. And she's going to have to play it for years. She's going to listen to this for the rest of her life. So it's really important that when she says, I'm not happy, I want to know why. And I want to make sure that it's as good as she wants it right now. And so there's no small recall.
Yeah.
And it's not, is it time effective? No. I'm spending crazy amounts of time on this record. And some records are easier, but records that are like this, because there's no template. This record doesn't exist. It's a new thing. There's no space like this. There's no record that has one song in English and one song in Arabic next to it. So to make those things work together, I can't go and listen to the new Green Day record for inspiration. That's not how it's going to work. You know, I defy you to find something that sounds like this anywhere. So it's a puzzle. I'm putting a puzzle together from the pieces I'm handed. I cannot change the pieces too much, and I don't have the end picture of the puzzle.
It's the easiest way to assemble a puzzle, right? It's to never look at the box, have no idea what you're making, but yet get it perfectly together.
Yeah, so that's the job. And that's why when Nesrine says, it needs to be more raw or more deep, that means that I haven't created the space that she needs for her to be comfortable with it. So I'm going to go back and try again and again until I get that, when she's like, okay, this is it. And then as I go forward, see, Fantasy is at 1.4. I would say that by the song number 10 would probably be good with the mix at 1.2, because I will understand better the language of the communication.
Exactly.
So that's that. I'm not going to finish this right now, because I need to get these things off my ear, and I need to think about it in a more musical way than a technical way. And so I'm going to go back and reread the notes. But I'm glad we did this, because I was not getting that. I did not understand what she wanted. So this is awesome. And so we have one more little surprise in the show. So I wanted to, before we get to that surprise, I wanted to thank Nesrine very much for staying up very, very late, even though this is Spain.
It's 12.
It's midnight in Spain. In Spain, they start dinner at 10 p.m. But these days, apparently, you tell me that's changed. So,
yeah, people are weird those days.
Okay,
Really?
but thank you so much for.
Thank you for having me.
For playing the game and coming and sharing your music with these people and with me. Yeah. And I will probably talk to you tomorrow. Well, tomorrow is crazy. I'll talk to you Thursday, and you'll have more music on Thursday. And I will do everything I'm supposed to do. Promise. I promise. And thank you so much for coming. And then so now I'll be back next week with probably one more song. What's the song called? You sent me a song today. Risala. Which language is that in?
It's going to be in Arabic.
Arabic, okay. So by next week, I should have Silent Mood recalled, and I'll play it to see what raw meant,
Cool.
And I will have Memories recalled, Rimiti finished, and I'll have hopefully a mix of Risala, and maybe one more.
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll start.
There's deadlines.
There are deadlines.
I know.
Right.
They are.
Is there a release date already for the record?
Yes, if the world come back to normal, normally everything goes okay. There is like the release of the album at the end of September, beginning of October.
Nice.
Okay, which means that we have to have the record finished by June 1st.
June, yeah.
Otherwise, there's not enough time to do all the promotion and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, so I will do my best. It's a promise.
Thank you, Fab. I mean, as you said, like something like last time you said something that I am not afraid. This was like a big sentence you said, like, I'm not afraid of showing the process, because you're not afraid of like showing to people whatever you learn and whatever you're, which is amazing. And this is also something that I want to share with people. I'm not afraid to show my process also as a musician. You can hear my voice, you can hear like all the things, and then you will hear the result of it. So yeah, we are not afraid. Like no one is afraid there here. Like even you, Ben, you're not afraid of anything. I think thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. I'll talk to you on Thursday, promise. Bye.
Yeah. Goodbye, everyone.
See ya.
So, for everyone else, what's going to happen starting next week is there will be 2 segments on the Tales from the Switch. There will be a first, and so this is where I'd like to invite my next 2 guests. Please, guys, can you please phone Zoom Ben? So basically, the idea is like we're all in quarantine and we're all separate. And there's a word that's going to change, but I think that's not going to change that much. And I think that there's still going to be a lot of at-home work.
Yep.
And so the reflection was like, what if we doctors, we have right 2. So everybody please say hello to Will Knox with the lighter complexion and Louis Cato with the darker complexion. And Will and Louis are going to be my next victims on Tales from the Switch. So the idea is this: we're all confined, we're all separate. Will is in England. He got stranded in England. He usually lives in Amsterdam.
That's right.
And Louis is in Brooklyn. He just lives in Brooklyn. And Louis's audio is connecting, so he doesn't know I'm talking about him right now. And so the idea is that here's a team of 3 people, and we're going to write a song and then produce a song. What's up, Louis? I can tell you can hear now.
I can.
Yeah.
Were you talking about me? What did I miss?
I said that Will Knox is stranded in Britain, even though he's English, but he lives in Amsterdam, and you just live in Brooklyn. You're not stranded. Yeah.
Fair enough.
So the idea is Will is in England, Louis is in Brooklyn, and I'm here in Manhattan. And so we're going to make a song. And so Louis and Will have started writing the song. And today is just the intro to show you the concept of what we're going to do. And next week, as part 2 of Tales from the Switch, we're going to start the process. So this week, they're going to keep writing, and they're going to document the writing in, guess what? In Luna. What a concept.
Woo!
Yep. And so, and next week we'll examine the song, and we'll talk about the song. The following week, Louis and I are going to produce the song, and Louis can play just about anything that has strings or skins on it. And so I will remote control Luna in Louis's studio in Brooklyn from Manhattan. So we're going to show you a way. It's going to be great. So we're going to use the low latency, the no latency environment of Luna to be able to basically collaborate. And so I will be engineering Louis's playing from here in his house using Luna. And then maybe we can rope Will into doing some nerdy stuff like that too. But so I brought Will in because I love hanging out with Will.
Me too.
We made pretty good records together, and I wanted Louis to write with someone, so that there's like emulation, and so that there's also this disconnection and reconnection, and we can analyze the process on what happens when somebody's in England and somebody's in Brooklyn, and somebody's in, I mean, Manhattan's not that far from Brooklyn, but let's imagine in Ouagadougou. So I'm in Ouagadougou. And what does it take for 3 people technically to do that with Luna and an Apollo? So Will, you have a twin?
That's right, yeah.
And Louis, you have an X8P?
I do.
Yeah, and I have here, by the way, I never talked about it. My rig here that I've been doing this Tales from the Switch with is an X8P and a twin on my desk. And I also have a little satellite because I'm a little bit of a DSP whore, but very little bit.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Will, you would tell me you told me you tried Luna today for the first time?
Yeah, I was just getting used to it and trying out all the different features, and I mainly use the AWs for the creative songwriting process. I don't do mixing and production really past the demo phase. So it was kind of interesting seeing what things I needed and I wanted out of it that were great. I mean, the first thing I saw was the tempo changes really smooth. That was crazy.
Yeah.
So I was at 92 BPM for an idea that we were working on. I thought maybe that's a bit slow. I went up to 100 and I was like, oh, did I touch that? Is that
it
right?
actually sounds good. Yeah. The razor blade mode, by the way, guys, in Luna, the razor blade mode, which is the one that UA developed in house by a French guy. Just saying. Not saying it loud. I'm just saying it. Is absolutely fantastic. Not because the guy is French, but just because it's fantastic. Is that what you used? Did you use razor blade?
Yeah. I
it's
polyphonic and then moved to Razorblade. Yeah.
Louis, remember at NAMM when you were playing the drums and we changed the tempo on the drums?
Yes, the Razorblade.
That was the Razorblade. It's insane.
I very much remember.
Okay.
Mind still blown.
Yes, it is pretty.
It hasn't come back together. It blew apart at NAMM.
It's still in pieces.
So it's no small feat to pull that off, but I think it would be interesting for people to see how is it that three people can work together in real time.
Yeah.
What tools we use, what the process is, and everything. And part of that is the fact that we don't have to think of latency with Luna and an Apollo. Yeah. We'll be able to route. So when Louis is going to play drums, I will be able to use technology to control the preamps all in Luna. It'll just put Luna full screen. I'll control the preamps and I'll have a feedback of the sound. So the feedback is not in Luna. Feedback we're going to be using audio movers. But I'll be able to hear in my headphones here through my Apollo in Manhattan what's happening in Brooklyn and change the sound.
It's gonna
using
be so cool.
all unison preamps.
It's going to be so cool. Yeah.
So the theory is that we haven't done it yet. The theory is that it's going to be badass.
Exactly.
So we'll see what happens. So next week is going to be did you guys start writing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. How far in are you?
A couple of verses and a chorus. I think we're up to the bridge point.
Oh wow! Let's jump on the bridge. Amazing. So can I make a request? Just make sure that it can have a pocket because I want to record some serious drum pocket stuff.
I think we actually already got that one down.
All right, great.
Nice. What about
awesome.
So something else that's special for next week that we got going on is we're gonna be doing a week focused on all of our mini Moog emulation and all the Moog stuff on UAD, and so will Mini Moog be able to be a part of the song as well?
I will add a layer of Mini Moog.
I would love that.
Yeah, it's I will find some way. I just want to be clear about the timeline. So they're going to finish writing the song this week. Next week, we were going to do literally like listen to the song, talk about the arrangement, look at the different Luna things.
Yep.
But I have an idea on how to feature the Moog.
Nice. Oh, that's gonna be so much fun.
It's gonna be very special. So what's the subject matter, people? What are we talking about in that song?
Do you want to take this, Lewis, or do you want me to take it?
Keep it. I'm already telling myself, keep it light, Lewis. Keep it light. Oh boy, you should take it.
I'll say this much: the working title for the song is "Happiness," but it's one of the least happy lyrics I think I've written in a long time.
I could count no less from you, my friend.
Yeah, I know you told us to keep it light, so I just tried to put the word happiness.
I just want everything is so dark everywhere. I just wanted people to have an hour of like joy per week, but I called you, so I knew that it was not going to be that joyful. Will Knox is the happiest person alive and writes the saddest songs in the universe. I've never seen that before. It's
How do you
amazing.
think I'm so happy?
You
But all
get
the-
it out of your system. I love
Exactly.
it. It's awesome. All right, so so that's it. So now the stage is set.
Mm-hmm.
We have Lewis in Brooklyn, Will is in England, 2 Apollos. I'm here in Manhattan. Next week, expect 2 parts of the show. First, Nesreen. We're going to keep going on that record. Isn't she amazing? She's absolutely amazing. She's just so clear in the process, right? Her vision of the music and the process is amazing.
Yeah.
And she's got perfect pitch like you, Lewis.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah. And so that's why she sings that way. It's just like so on, like you.
Beautiful.
And the cello playing is unbelievable. Yeah, it's just the whole, and the vision and the reason why the music exists and how it's delivered and the pockets and everything is awesome.
Yeah.
So I'll do a check-in on that. So because it's a saga, you know, we're gonna go all the way till the end on the Nesrin record. I'll play you the new songs. I'll show you anything of note, and then we'll switch to the trio madness.
Oh, it's gonna be so much fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's
Oh,
it. So I wanted you guys to come in and introduce yourselves so that everybody on the other side of the YouTube and Facebook can know what to expect for next week and be excited. And now we're gonna go and figure out how to do it.
Fantastic. Well, guys, Fab, man, thank you again, man. Every week it's so much fun getting to hang out with you and see the progress that you're making on the record, and then also just, you know, sharing so much knowledge and inspiration with people every week. The love in the chat for you and for Nesreen, and now for you guys as well. Like, people are so excited with what we're showing them every week here. So really appreciate having you guys join us and for this, making a fun adventure even more fun. So yeah, it's gonna be really fun next week, getting together and seeing what you guys come up with.
Yeah,
I can't wait to hear that song.
I know. Awesome. Well, and thanks everybody for tuning in to today's office hours. We'll be back tomorrow. We're gonna be back a little bit earlier tomorrow. We're back at 11 a.m. Pacific with Peter Moshe, the engineer from Live at Daryl's house. He's got some really cool stuff to show us about how he's integrating Apollos into not only on the recording side inside Luna, but also using them live as part of what his setup for Live at Daryl's house. And then Thursday, we're also back at the earlier time slot with a few of the members from the band Walk Off the Earth. And we're going to be talking about, similar to you guys, of how they're collaborating and still recording and still making music and videos while, you know, all in different places. So it's going to be a fun couple of shows here tomorrow and Thursday. So thanks again for tuning in and hanging out with us today. And we'll see you guys back here tomorrow. See ya.
Ciao. Ciao, ciao.